When was the last time you looked at yourself? The majority of us look in the mirror every day, even multiple times a day, I bet. Either to fix our hair, check our outfits, or sometimes even chat with our reflection. And maybe see if we look good after having a good cry. Well, at least for me. It's a normal part of life, right? And we hardly ever stop to think about what it really is. Do we actually recognize ourselves, or is it just our brain making an assumption? I'm Mary, and welcome to Questions and Everything. Today, let's look into the famous experiment that measures self-awareness using mirrors and see if we really know ourselves. Chapter 1: The Mirror Test. The Mirror Self-Recognition Test, or MSR for short, was created by psychologist Gordon Gallup Jr. in 1970. It is designed to see if animals and even humans are self-aware. And here's how it works. A mark is put on the subject's body in a spot they can't see without a mirror. And if they notice the mark, try to touch or get rid of it while looking at themselves, they get tagged as self-aware. Good news for chimpanzees because they passed the test. And so did other creatures: dolphins, elephants, magpies, and even cleaner Ross. Because of this, researchers argue that being able to recognize ourselves is a big sign of consciousness. However, something is going on. Some humans actually fail the test, while other animals pass it in odd circumstances. So what's really happening here? Chapter 2: The Problems with MSR. Gallup and his team took another look at the mirror test and suggested that it might not be as reliable as they once thought. They saw failure in certain human populations. Babies younger than 18 months failed the test, even though they clearly show self-awareness in a lot of different ways. Individuals with autism spectrum disorder, severe intellectual disabilities, and even certain types of dementia may not respond to the test despite displaying self-awareness through their ability to recognize their own body parts, respond to their names, or recall personal experiences. They also pointed out cultural differences because, believe it or not, in cultures where mirrors are not a common part of daily life, people sometimes fail the test. It's not because they lack self-awareness, no, but it's just because they aren't that familiar with how mirrors actually work. Studies in remote communities in Namibia and even the Amazon rainforest have found that some people who rarely encounter mirrors react to them with confusion or treat their reflection as a completely different person. This indicates that mirror familiarity plays a major role in the test results, but the findings are quite mixed. And lastly, lack of interest does not equal to lack of awareness. Many animals really just don't care about the marks on their bodies, making the test unreliable. Some also react differently based on how they perceive mirrors, as a reflection or as another individual too, just like how some humans. Dogs, for example, fail the test but use their sense of smell rather than vision to recognize themselves. They use mirrors to track down hidden treats. Very clever. While giant pandas ignore the mark altogether, completely, and they show very little interest in their reflection. Or some fish, like the cleaner wrasse, initially attack their mirror image and then later demonstrate possible self recognition by examining their own bodies. And for pigeons, they manage to pass the test after lots of training, but then the effect wears off and they fail when tested normally. So it's a bit confusing. And as you can see, these different results make researchers wonder if the mirror test is really measuring self awareness or just how animals and certain humans respond to reflection. Chapter 3: Explanations and Theories. So, if the mirror test isn't perfect, how should we think about self awareness then? Let's talk about the theories they suggest. Behavioral familiarity theory says that we recognize ourselves because we're used to how we move, not necessarily because we have some high level of self awareness. We also have social learning theory. Many animals might learn to link mirrors with their bodies over time, meaning passing the test doesn't necessarily prove that they were born self-aware. And lastly, multiple levels of self-awareness. Some scientists argue self-awareness exists on a spectrum, not just as a simple pass or fail case. And this one makes the most sense to me. So, does looking at yourself in the mirror mean you truly know yourself? Not really. The mirror test might tell us something about how we think, sure, but it's not the final word on self-awareness. Recognizing ourselves is way more complicated than one experiment can show. And as you guessed it, true consciousness is still one of the biggest puzzles in science. Hooray, humans! What do you think? Does self-recognition actually mean anything? Or is it just a trick of familiarity? Make sure to share your thoughts about the studies if you would like. I'm really interested to hear what you think about this. Until then, thank you so much for being here and I appreciate you for watching. That's a few minutes of your life that you will never get back, so I hope it was fun and interesting. Have a great day and take care. Bye-bye.